also a great millstone for teaching the truth of certainty, citation to the hopeful that spread those forces of the earth. This is going to be another lesson entitled "In Revolution." There are two sort of men, okay? One who profits by them, or one who calls them, and one who profits by them, okay? And that quote is attributed to Napoleon Bonaparte, right? Okay, in revolution, there are two types of men. There are two sorts of men, right? One who calls them and one who profits by them. One who calls them referring to what? The masses, the general people, right? Through what? Protests, okay? Through riots, okay? You know, and we know a revolution, okay, is something that is usually calls to get rid of a current government, all right? You know, and you know we can get in scriptures, Second Ezra 16, where it goes into you know, sedition. There should be sedition amongst man. Okay, man rises up against one another. Okay, they should not regard their kings, nor their princes, nor the rulers. Okay, you know, because that's what we're about to. That's what we're heading into. We're heading into sedition. We're heading to, you know, uproar. Okay, of the people against this current government. Okay, that is a part of the end time sign as well, and we're seeing it happening on a small scale. We're seeing it happening on a small scale because we're seeing different protests and riots happening, you know, across the Babylon, Great America, LA, yeah, Washington. Then you have protests happening in other world like France, okay, etc. Um, so that those who cause the revolution, then those them who profit by them, referring to what? Okay, that quote, you know, Napoleon Bonaparte, he did not say that quote. Okay, that quote would not say in vain, right? It's the truth, it's facts, right? You know, who profit by them? You know, your top bankers, elites, right? Those who fund these wars on both sides. Okay, they profit by that revolution. Okay, because when the revolution outbreak happened, right? You know, people start, you know, panicking. Okay, they know how the bankers elite profit. You know, they profit through panicking, they profit through fear, right? Baron Rothschild, he was famous for saying, when blood, the best time to buy is when blood is running in the streets, right? You know, the best time to buy is when blood is running in the streets. Okay, and I'm gonna get some verses that basically go into the quote I just mentioned, right? One by the quote by Napoleon Bonaparte and the quote by Baron Rothschild, right? Because the Lord, He gonna put in the spirit of these bankers, to cause revolution, to cause trouble, to cause things to happen, right? You know, in order to benefit them. Okay, you know. But we know that ultimately it is to it's the fulfilling prophecies, right? The prophecy has to come to pass. Okay, prophecy has to happen in order for us the land to get delivered and the usher in the kingdom of heaven. All right, this is Psalm 37:1. It reads, "Fret not thyself because of evildoers, neither be thou envious against the workers of iniquity." Okay, fret not mean what? Don't be afraid, basically. Okay, because of evildoers, and do not be envious, meaning jealous against the workers of iniquity, meaning what? Against, you know, these ones that's currently ruling, right? those that's currently ruling, those that are in control of this modern day um, kingdom, okay, world. For they shall soon be cut down like the grass and wither as the green herb, okay. And that's gonna happen what in a matter of 1 hour, okay. All riches will come to naught, right? In a matter of 1 hour. Trust in the Lord, and how about you do good, meaning what? Do righteous, okay? Do the things that are pleasing to the Lord, yeah, about okay? You know, don't partake in wickedness, okay? So shalt thou dwell in the land, and verily thou shalt be fed, all right? And this goes back into, it was like would have followed this the word this word right here, the particular verse, okay? They would have dwelt in their land, but guess what? We're not dwelling in our land, right? Because what? We didn't um do good, right? We didn't trust in the Lord, right? But in the kingdom of heaven, we are gonna be doing good. We are gonna trust the Lord, and we are gonna do it in our land, okay? And we are gonna be fed, right? Delight thyself also in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of thy heart, okay? And this is what we're doing, right? We're delighting ourselves in the Lord, okay? And the Lord will give the desires of our heart, right? And our heart, and the desire of our heart should be what? Spiritually things, heavenly things, okay? Things of above, okay? Not worldly things, okay? Although the Lord, He will give us worldly things, right? Whatever that might, anything that might, that we might need, right, in this world, okay? You know, but ultimately, our desire is that of the kingdom, okay? Deliverance. Commit thy way unto the Lord, Yahuwah. Trust also in Him, and He shall bring it to pass. Okay, so this is what we have to do. We have to trust in the Lord. Okay, we have to trust in the Lord, Yahuwah, and He can bring it to pass. He gonna bring what? He gonna bring all the desires of our heart, and the desires of our heart is what? To see the downfall of our enemy. Okay, just to see the downfall of our enemy, to see the destruction of this wicked society, this wicked kingdom. Okay, that is the desire of our heart. But the only thing we have to do, what? Commit our way unto the Lord and trust in Him, okay? That's the only thing we have to do, okay? And once we do that, okay, the Lord is going to take care of the rest, okay? All right? And He should bring forth thy righteous, and He should bring forth thy righteousness as the light, and thy judgment as a noonday, okay? Rest in the Lord, Yahuwah, and wait patiently for Him. Fret not thyself because of him who prospers in his way, because a man who brings wicked devices to pass. Okay, that's easy to be understood. Okay, don't be afraid. Okay, wait patiently for the Lord. Okay, don't be afraid of him who prospers in his ways. Okay, you know we have we see because what we see this at this current modern time we see this wicked man, okay, the wicked that rule this world. It doesn't look like they're they continue to develop these different systems. Okay, it doesn't look like they're gonna fall, right? But you know we know that the devil is gonna fall. Okay, he's not gonna be ruling for a long time. Okay, wicked devices to pass. Meaning what? This goes back to what? Your different wars, right? Your pestilence, your COVID, okay, was a big example, right? Those are wicked devices, that is was used, okay, to ultimately profit the society, to profit the bankers elite, right? But that caused a lot of death as well. Okay, so those wicked devices, they'll use. Okay, the list goes on and on. Cease from anger and forsake wrath. Okay, fret not thyself in any wise to do evil. Okay, fret. Okay, we can't be do evil, right? We can't be wise to do evil, right? Because that's the wicked. Okay, the wicked are wise to do evil, right? You know, the wicked know how to do evil. The serpent, right? It goes back to what the children of disobedience, right? Esau, Edom, right? He's wise to do evil. Okay, for evildoers should be cut off, but those that wait upon the Lord, Yahweh, they shall inherit the earth. Okay, those that wait upon the Lord, Yahweh, will inherit the earth. Okay, and that's what the kingdom of heaven ruling. Okay, tenth verse. It says, "For yet a little while, and the wicked should not be. Yea, thou shalt diligently consider his place, and it should not be." Okay, so for a little while, like I mentioned to you, this devil is on the ruler for a little while. He on the ruler for a short period of time, a little season. Okay, and guess what? After that little season, right? And when he would not, and he will not be. Okay, he will not be in rulership, right? Because what the Lord yaHAWAHSHI is returning, okay, to take this devil out of rulership. Is returning to conquer, okay, this kingdom, right, and to set those crowns. Scripture goes into the crowns, okay, that the Lord yaHAWAHSHI has, right. A crown represent taking over these devil rulership. Okay, you know, there's Christian Revelation mentions about the crowns. Right, you have one precept that goes into the Lord and set crowns among the saints. Okay, the word they're going back to the word, and then you got the one that goes into how the Lord, he had many crowns. Okay, they go back to the taking of these devils, the different kingdoms of Esau's. Okay, conquering it. All right, the Lord taking their root, their crown. The crown represent rulership. Okay, the Lord taking their crown. Okay, and put it, and conquering their land and put it in him owning it, basically. Okay, thou should diligently consider his place, and it should not be. Okay, yeah, we're diligently considering this devil place. Right, we know that this devil is ruling. Right, we know that he's ruled the entire world. Okay, and we know that he's going to be ruling for a short period of time. Okay, you know, but you know, we also know that this devil is how his current kingdom is drastically falling. Okay, you know, and it's dictated by prophecies as well. But meek, but the meek shall inherit the earth and shall delight themselves in the abundance of peace. Right, and that's the blessing for the Israelites. Okay, the meek, right, is the kingdom of heaven and abounding in peace. Right, peace. Not the Lord said that I shall wipe away all tears from your eyes. And there should be no more wars, no more deaths. Right, no more plagues. Okay, we should live at peace. Okay, none should hurt us. Okay, meaning what? We won't have any wars happening in the kingdom of heaven. We won't have any enemies in the kingdom of heaven. Okay, we'll just be the only people that will, you know, so called be our enemies are the heathens, our servants, right? But even then, we're not going to treat them like they treated us, okay? You know, because they are our servants, right? We have to take care of them, okay? You know, but we are not gonna, we're not gonna basically we're not gonna be on that level, okay? We're not gonna what's the word I'm looking for? Dumb down our royalty, okay, our power to be on that level to basically to feel sorrow for them and like, right? We're not gonna do that, okay? That's not gonna be on our heart. Our heart is gonna be to rule these people because they're born to be rulers. These heathen, these servants, okay, these heathens that are currently ruling this world today, like Moab, okay, the so-called Chinese, right, the Hamites, the Esau, the so-called white people, okay, our brethren, okay, all right, they supposed to serve us, okay. Really, that was a blessing that was given to Jacob, okay, to Israel, right, was for these heathens to serve us, okay, and they're gonna serve us in the kingdom of heaven, okay, you know. 12th verse. The wicked plotted against the just and gnashed upon him with his teeth. Okay? Okay? Meaning what? And this goes back to Lamentation, right? The second chapter. All right? The wicked plotted against the just, meaning you have what? Donald Trump, for example, right? Many brothers believe that attack that happened in North Carolina on the subway train was, though yes, it was real, but it could be a wicked device being used to attack, Jake. Okay, really to attack Jake. Okay, you know, because Donald Trump speaks about how how that he that since that so-called Jake that stabbed the Ukrainian white woman. Okay, since he can do that in a violent way, then that gives them the reason to become violent, become ruthless. Okay, you know, against Jake, okay, against you so-called Negro, Hispanic, etc. Right, and that's going with pushing different laws, okay, like the death penalty, right, is right, and then just bring in the National Guard, okay, into your neighborhood to punish you, okay. Seriously, think about how the devil, um, how the devil should come spare none, right? How the devil should spare none, okay? But guess what? The lawyer about to rise up a standard against the devil, okay? You know, when you that why we believe that those brothers in truth we're gonna get spiritual powers, right? Because when the devil come against us, right, come in our neighborhood and stuff, the Lord he gonna cause a brother to receive spiritual powers to attack the devil, right? To attack our enemy. Okay, that is very possible. Okay, you have to have faith to believe that. All right. And they actually upon him with the teeth, right? Meaning what? They look at us with spite, basically. They look at they anger. They look at us with spite and envy. Okay, they want to kill us on a day-to-day basis. Okay, they don't care. They look down on us. Okay, it's very, very true. Okay. Let me see if I can get limitation the second chapter, wherever that might be. New Testament. New Testament. Give me the New Testament. New Testament. New Testament. Limitations. Limitations is a very small chapter, so it could be hiding in one. Could be hiding with another chapter somewhere on the same page. So the reason I'm about to bring out limitations because you know even though it goes into our captivity, right, and how we will it goes limit me to mourn, okay, you go back to mourning and how Jeremiah was mourning, okay, um to the Lord, okay. I think it's in the New Testament. I'm probably not gonna be able to find him because I don't have my cover attached. I don't have the page that takes me to the that can show me where all the different chapters and books are. Um, because the search I want to get goes, I think, Lamentation, the second chapter, where it goes to how we are looked down upon, we are seen as an infamy and famous amongst the heathen. Okay, this goes back to Psalm. This goes back to Psalm the 37th chapter. Okay, um, because these heathen are our enemies, like I mentioned to you, right? Just like they look at us as their enemy, they are our enemy. We should, and this is what we as heathens. Okay, really, they're below us. Okay, I'm not gonna find it. Uh, So I'm just gonna continue where I left off. Since I'm not gonna be able to find limitations, so I'm gonna start back to Psalms the 37th chapter. Psalms the 37th chapter. Psalms 37. And day 13, Psalm 37, chapter verse 13 reads, "The Lord should laugh at him, for he sees that his day is coming." Right. And we're laughing at how is the Lord laughing? Okay, the Lord is laughing through his prophets, his teachers. Okay, that's how the Lord is laughing. Okay, you don't hear the Lord physically in heaven laughing. Okay, but He's laughing through us. Okay, and that's many times this the Lord laugh. Right, and they're gonna be laughing. Right, and the Scripture also speaks about how that in the time of calamity the Lord should laugh at them. Okay, you know because they have disregarded Him. How will the Lord laugh? Okay, through us. Okay, you know because what we see that his day is coming. We see that this man's rulership is coming to an end. Okay, and it's really, and we're literally laughing. Okay, it's really funny, right? And laughing as in the sense of yes, we're been okay, like a sigh of relief. Okay, laughing and knowing that kingdom of heaven is here. Okay, laughing and knowing that this devil is about to be under us. He's about to be serving us. Okay, you know the wicked have drawn out the sword and have bent their bow. Okay. And this goes back to what? This modern day sword, their weapons. Okay. National Guard. Okay. For example, because that's what being used. Trump is using, like, because the next state that he's deploying the National Guard to is Memphis. Okay. You know, Tennessee. Okay. Memphis, Tennessee. All right. To fight so called crime. Okay. With the National Guard. So he's what? He's um drawn out his sword and bending his bow to cast down the poor and needy, and to slay such as be an upright conversation. That goes back to what? Those who's an upright conversation, meaning those who walk in justly, righteously, is referred to the elect. Okay, and really, the brothers that's teaching, right? Because these devils don't know who the elect is, or the elect could be anyone, but the devil, okay, is physically seeing, man, okay, prophesying against his kingdom, right? Telling him that his kingdom is about to be destroyed, okay? It's about to be conquered, all right? So he's gonna try to go. He's gonna try to come against, the brothers, right? That's why there's disease that some of you should be, should be martyrs for the Lord's name's sake. Some of us gonna be martyrs for the Lord's name's sake, right? And that's just the truth, all right? But guess what? Our reward will be in the kingdom of heaven, okay? Our reward is the kingdom of heaven, all right? Their sword should enter into their own heart, and their bow should be broken. Okay, So they mean what? The Lord gonna make the devil his sword, his own weapon, his own power, his own military strength to be used against him. And that goes back to what? These thermonuclear missiles. Okay, because these devils have thermonuclear missiles. But guess what? These weapons are the weapon was created by the Lord and by Shah, right? These are the weapons of the Lord armory. Okay, army of the Lord. All right, you know, and he gonna use his weapons against the devil that he used to create them. Okay, Now, how cold is that? Thermonuclear, thermonuclear weapons. Okay, the Lord used His own creator, create His own creation to create these thermonuclear weapons. He didn't do it. He used man. All right, you know, your different scientists, Oppenheimer's, okay, to create these different weapons of mass destruction. Ultimately, to bring and the result would be to bring the bring for the end of this current rulership. Okay, and to usher in the kingdom of Yahweh. Okay, the kingdom of yaHAWAHSHI. All right. Now, how cold is that? That's very cold. That's very, very, very heavy. Okay. And little that righteous man had is better than the riches of many wicked. Right. And we have a little. Okay. If you're in the truth, you have a little, which is the word. Okay. You know, which is a lot ultimately. You know, but it can be considered little. Right. As well. Um, and also, being content as well. Not me and the brother have great riches, a lot of riches. Okay, just being content, right? That's good, right? Because what this current society is coming to, this economy is going to collapse. Okay, guess what? All the people that have many houses, many vehicles, etc., they don't have to give it away or not use it or destroy it, do something with it, right? Because there's no way, okay, you'll be able to financially, keep your many houses, your lifestyle, your luxury lifestyle, etc. Keep it, you know, maintained. Okay, when the economy collapses, because what we're about, everything will be digitalized, MOTB. Okay, you gotta get that micro CF to buy or sell. Right. So those who are content, those who don't have many riches and luxuries and living in a luxury lifestyle, okay, to give up a house, to give up a car, don't mean anything. Okay, that's just worldly stuff. Okay, and that's the spirit we're supposed to have. Okay, and that's the spirit we're supposed to be in. All right, always. You know, because we have this word, we have this truth. Okay, we done the names of the Lord. Okay, Yahweh, yaHAWAHSHI. Right, and that's a lot. Okay, that's not a little. Okay, that's a lot because what those names is what gonna get us through the time of Jacob trouble and gonna give us salvation, Lord will. Okay, the Lord, 17th verse. For the arms of the wicked should be broken, but the Lord Yahushua opposes the righteous. Right, the arm of the wicked will be broken. Meaning what the strength. Okay, okay, of the wicked will be broken. The power will be broken. All right, you know, because what keeping this devil in power is his strength. Okay, his military. All right, you have a strong military, okay, you basically, you know, have power, okay? And Babylon the Great, Esau, Edom, okay, have a strong military hegemony against this whole globe, okay? And this is why the Venezuelan president said that he would not be, he would not be basically conquered. Okay, and he will, and how he talked about how the United States is trying to build a military hegemony, towards Venezuela. Okay, trying to keep that going. So we know that as long as you have a military power that's upholding you, okay, upholding your kingdom, all right, then you're in power, you're in rulership, okay. Just going back to the Romans, we saw many times in history, the Romans, okay? The Romans had a great military power, right? And that would kept their, that would kept them in rulership, having a great military strength, right? Virgil, okay, Alexander the Great. You know, there's big names, okay, because they will uphold the kingdom. But guess what? The Lord yaHAWAHSHI, all right, he gonna uphold us, right? He gonna be our sanctuary. He gonna be our hiding place. He gonna be our protection, right? And if we have the Lord upholding us, then no one can conquer us, okay? No one, whether it be principalities, spirits, okay, or humans, all right? The devil, Esau, and his military power. The Lord knows the days of the upright, and the heritage shall be forever, okay? The Lord knows the days of the upright, the what we're gonna be ruled for eternally, everlasting, all right? And our heritage will be forever, okay? You know, I mean, we won't have an end to our inheritance, right? Our blessings gonna be forever, right? Us owning slaves and ancestors will be forever, okay? There won't be no changes, okay? Everything gonna be set in stone. Everything gonna be forever. They should not be ashamed in the evil time. In the days of famine, they should be satisfied, right? The Lord said He's gonna, you know, take care of us, right? Provide for us, you know, in a time of trouble, okay? You know, so in the evil day, in the evil time, right? We're not gonna be afraid, okay? We won't be ashamed, right? You know, we won't be ashamed of, you know, being of we won't be ashamed. We won't be ashamed of the Lord yaHAWAHSHI. We won't be ashamed of being the truth of our faith, okay? Because we know that the Lord is going to take care of us. We know the Lord will provide for us, right? Some way, somehow, okay? The Lord knows what we need, okay? He knows that we're going to be in doubt. He knows we're going to be in trouble. That we're going to be in need of help, okay? Serious help, all right? But the wicked, okay, the 20th verse, but the wicked shall perish, and the enemies of the Lord yaHAWAHSHI shall be as the fat of lambs. They shall consume into smoke. They consume away. That's going back to what the thermonuclear fire. Okay, that thermonuclear fire, right? They're the wicked, whether you're wicked japes or the wicked heathens, okay, you're gonna be as fat lambs, all right, and your body is gonna be used to keep that fire burning, all right. That's that judgment, that second that the Lord's gonna bring on you, wicked, whether you're wicked japes, wicked Israelites, or the heathen. The Lord's gonna bring that judgment, that thermonuclear fire, okay, and your flesh is gonna be used to keep that fire burning. And that's how we know that there's a large amount of wicked. That's how we know that there is it's more wicked, all right, Israelites and heathen in this world than there are righteous, okay? And that's a large amount, okay? I was talking about trillions, or no, I'm talking about billions, millions, okay? So this is why we're not in the time of trouble, okay? You know, we giving our all, our mind, our body, our spirit, our heart to worship the Lord. Everybody should try the best of our ability, calling out His name, okay, praying, okay? You know, seeking His mercy, seeking His grace, okay? We're gonna be protected. We're gonna be all right, okay? There's no need to worry, all right? We shouldn't be pondering whether the Lord gonna take care of us, okay, in the time of Jacob trouble. That should be on our mind. That should not be on our mind constantly. All right, we shouldn't be worried about that. All right, but we know that Lord, you should have faith, right? That the Lord's gonna take care of you. All right, you know, provide for you. You know, we should always be listening to our consciousness as well, right? Because our consciousness, you know, It'd be the Lord speaking, okay? You know, as well. It could be the demon speaking, but you got to learn to, you got to be able to spiritually discern, all right? All right, so I'm gonna jump to another chapter, another Ezekiel 35, 1 through 6. All right, stand on the topic of this lesson, the revolution. There are two sort of man, all right, one will break them and one prophet. So Ezekiel 35, and 1, it reads, Ezekiel 35, 1 reads, moreover, the word of the Lord, yaHAWAHSHI, came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir. And prophesy against it, right? Mount Seir is referred to, okay, Babylon, okay? You know, Edom, the Edomite nation, all right? Mount is referred to a government, all right? So we're prophesying against the Edomite government, all right? And say unto it, thus said the Lord, yaHAWAHSHI, the Most High, behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee, and I will stretch out my hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate. All right. So the Lord is against this current government, right? He's against you Democrats and Republicans, right? And his destiny, right, is to ultimately destroy you. Okay. Make you most desolate, make you most to destroy you utterly off his planet, okay, off his earth. I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord yaHAWAHSHI. Meaning what? Those thermonuclear missiles, the weapons of the Lord warfare, the weapons of the Lord armory. All right, that's how he gonna make it fit. In 1 hour, okay, shall all wretched come to naught. 1 hour. That's how long it take the Lord to destroy this society, this current Babylon the Great. In 1 hour. All right, 1 hour. All square feet land, okay, it's gonna be destroyed. Those islands are gonna be destroyed, and the island will be covered by water. You're gonna completely destroy the wicked. Because thou has had a perpetual hatred, and hath shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, and the time that their iniquity had an end. Okay, and this devil is still destroying us. Okay, whether you can see it, whether you're not, this devil destroying us. Okay, his laws. Okay, you know, his police force. Okay, you know, because these different police forces and this military. Okay, it wasn't set up to protect, you know, you Israelites. Okay, they work for the government, they work for the Rothschild, the top bakers elite, etc. Right? You know, so so ultimately, even though you don't see them on a daily basis, you know, killing Jay, like they just don't care, right? And like they just want they're men. Remember, this is a wise devil, okay, a wise serpent, all right, you know, very wise, okay. So he's not gonna, you know, he's not gonna make you. He's just not gonna do it in open, okay. He's not dumb, okay, not stupid, all right, you know. That's why, you know, he's tactical about what he do, right? For example, that North Carolina with that Jake and that woman that trained. All right, he uses that. There's many, you know, um, white people who get killed by black men, and the same as many white men who get or white women who get killed by black men, right? Or white men who kill black women, etc. Right? You know, but of course, you know, this one is so special. Okay, this death. Okay, this woman who you know was on the train. You know, she was a refugee from Ukraine. You know, killed by black man. Okay, who's a known criminal. Okay, offender. Right, a convict, felon. Right, just make national news. Right, so special. It got to be recognized by even the president. Right, but there's many deaths and many murders that's happening across this country on a daily basis. Right, even though if it biracial being committed by either white or black crime, black on white crime, okay, happening on the basis, right? But it's a agenda behind everything. This devil, what the devil do, right? There's a agenda behind it, okay? It's to demonize, okay? You know, Jake, right? Demonize, you realize so the devil can make up laws, okay? He can do things um to destroy you, okay? Therefore, as I live, says the Lord, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. See, if thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. Let's go back to what? That quote about Barry Rothschild, how the best time to blood is there when blood's running straight. All right. So these devils, okay, they do these, you know, we believe that they, you know, a lot of these different, they have different, you know, crisis actors, like we like to call them, crisis actors that go into the protests and start, you know, riling the people up and start doing all these acts, right? You know, so that can be, you know, so they can profit from it, okay? You know, so these devil, okay, they like blood, okay? You know, they like blood, okay? It's just a point blank period. The serpent like blood, right? The Lord said, the Lord even knows. The Lord said, you know, says that how that hated blood, right? Blood should proceed. Let's go back all the way back to Cain. Cain represents the wicked. Abel represents the righteous. He represents Jacob, right? The righteous seed. Cain slayed Abel, okay? Esau and Jacob, okay? Jacob represented the Israelite. Esau represented the wicked, right? Esau, you know, even though he didn't kill Jacob, in his heart, in his mind, he plotted to kill Jacob, right? So this devil, okay, it's just in his generation, in his seed, right, to kill you Israelites, to blood, to go after blood, to lust over blood, right? Thus will I make Mount Seir most desolate and cut all from it him that passes out and him that returns, right? You know, there won't be no more, you know, no airport will exist, right? You know, once the Lord destroy America, right? There won't be no more traveling to and from America, all right? From Babylon the Great. See here, Ecclesiastes 3, chapter 3, verse 1. Again, Matthew 24, and I'm going to close it out. and I did find limitations as well. It's in Old Testament. Wakia. I knew it was in the Old Testament. Oh, I said New Testament. All right, and this goes this limitation of second chapter verse 13 reads, all that pass by top their heads and knees, they hiss and wag their head as they go through Jerusalem, said that this city that man calls the perfect earth. Right? All thy enemies have opened their mouths against thee, they hiss and gnash their teeth. All right. They say we have swallowed her up. Certainly this is the day that we look for. We have found we have seen it, right? Let's go back to what in Psalm 37 chapter verse 13, right? Where it speaks about how our enemy had gnashed their teeth against us and they have plotted to take us down, right? And guess what? They're living they're living that will fulfill, right? They're living in their imagination of what will happen to us, okay? Jerusalem, okay? Jerusalem, right? How will be come down, okay? And this is why they're to this day they're looking down on it. To this day they're gnashing their teeth against us. To this day, okay, they're plotting to destroy us, okay? Well, they can't. The Lord won't allow it, right? The Lord just won't allow it. Because they shall let the nation of Israel that is meant to be delivered, okay? Because our people are dying every day, okay? But the majority of the people that are not dying are the elect, okay? The Lord is serving him, his chosen, okay? And I mean his elect, I mean his the that are meant to live and see the second coming of the Lord, okay? And be delivered. All right, Ecclesiastes 3:8 goes into a time of basically a time of everything, right? Ecclesiastes 3:1-8 goes into a time, okay, a time to love and a time to hate, a time of peace, right? And we're living in a time of war, okay? did Donald Trump say he was gonna rename the department, right, Department of War, right? Because we're living in a time of war. Okay, it's not a time of peace. It's a time of war. Okay, a time of war, a revolution. All right, and this is why, you know, some way somehow the Lord put His spirit on these Babylonians, okay, to rise up against their government, okay, to pray for destruction, to pray for war, to pray for, you know, things to happen, okay. And this is ultimate problem. This devil to come with martial law, lock everything down. The government, everything is under control of the government, military, the government military, okay. Matthew the 24th chapter. Matthew 24:7 reads, "For nation shall rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom, and there should be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places." That's a telltale sign of the second coming of yaHAWAHSHI, right? There's nation rise up against nation, kingdom against kingdom. This goes back to what? Nation rise up against nation goes back to civil war. Okay, you know, the right wing against the right, okay, the right radical against the left radical, right? You know, and you have Donald Trump, right, really sending National Guard to these, mainly these Democratic states, okay? So that's what? Nation rise up against nation, okay? That's a sign, all right? You know, and ultimately it's gonna lead to civil war, all right? You know, these people are gonna rise, these battles are gonna rise up against Trump and the military. All right, you already have games and shut talking about, you know, don't bring the National Guard, all right? You know, so that's in the making, all right? The Lord, He's stirring the pot, okay? You know, He's controlling, all right? But He could, you know, ultimately, He'll have events happen to bring for prophecy, to bring for the image to be, to bring for the third world, okay? All right, so I'm probably gonna close it here. Close this edifying. I'll give all honor and glory praises to yaHAWAH, BAHASHAM, yaHAWAHSHI, BAHASHAM RAWCHAA QADASH. All right, till next time, I'm gonna say Shalom.